My name's Matthew Williamson. I'm the Education Advisor at Queen Mary University of London, and I work with anybody in the college, from lecturers, PhD students, to help them improve their teaching. The dissertation I was doing at college was thought to be, by my tutors, might be suitable for funding. So we put in an application and I got funding to do a PhD, so I did my PhD, and then when I was finishing my PhD, the university where I was working at said, "There's a job coming up as a lecturer, do you want to apply for it?" So it was sort of, I rather fell into it rather than choosing to do it, I suppose. When I was at school I wanted to be an actor, but my parents didn't want me to be an actor, so I didn't do that. It was sort of expected, because I went to a grammar school, it was sort of expected that we had to apply to universities, so I was difficult and only applied to polytechnics in order to upset them. And again, it's sort of, I just did a degree course that I was interested in rather than really thinking about where I was going to go. It took me a long time to fit into secondary school, because I'd gone from a mixed junior school on a council estate to quite a posh grammar school that was all boys, and didn't really know very many, because only 3 people from my junior school went to the grammar school. So that was quite a shock, and I was quite rebellious all the time through school. It was a very sporty school, so if you didn't do sport you didn't really fit in. So there were a group of us who didn't do sport, so we sort of had our own little fitting in and ignored the rugged types. I can't say I was the hardest working person at school. I spent much more of my time acting and that sort of thing. And there was a small group of us who sort of were determined to apply for drama college. But my dad particularly was very keen that I got a proper qualification, and then if I wanted to do it, then I could do it afterwards. And then it sort of never really happened. So I do it as a hobby, but I don't do it for employment. Neither of my parents went to university, so there wasn't really any thought about. Both my mum left school after her O-levels, my dad left school a similar sort of period. So in the old days, when the electricity companies had showrooms, he used to manage the showroom and sell kettles and washing machines and things like that. I was a bit difficult at school. I chose subjects I was interested in rather than ones that I thought was going to do me good. Particularly for my GCSEs, I chose just what I felt like doing, which then unfortunately meant that I had a very small number of options left at A-level, because a lot of the things I did at GCSE my school didn't do at A-level, so I was left with doing A-levels that I perhaps wasn't most suited to. If you got into the 6th form, you were sat down at one point and given a UCA form, as it was at the time, and told to fill it in, and it was just assumed that you were going to apply to university. Well, the courses I was applying for, I at the time was working as a Saturday boy in a library, and I thought, well, I like working in a library. I've always had that sort of mind. I'll apply to train to be a librarian, because I couldn't think of anything else. Didn't do very well in my A-levels, but did well enough to get into university, and that was sort of fine. So I got my first choice. So it was a really good course, and I think it's a real very few places now do undergraduate courses in librarianship, and I think it's a real shame, because it was such an interesting course. And it's certainly, given me a lot of skills which are really very useful. I'm not sure I would have been happy if I'd then gone off and been a librarian, but that's a different matter. I haven't planned what I wanted to do, but I've ended up doing something that I enjoy, and that I would never have, if I'd been planning, I would never have ended up here, because I didn't even know this kind of job existed. So